Okay, good. So yeah, first of all, want to get your consent. I just want to verify that you consent to having this interview recorded, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Great. So just to introduce QA pillars, we are here to help other QAs evaluate their resume or CV by identifying possible gaps in their experience and then prepare them for um, other job opportunities. And the goal is just to simulate a real technical interview by asking questions about the topics that you chose. So the topics are Scrum, test design, and test strategy, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's just start by, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Marjorie, but you can call me Marge. And I have 8 years of experience in manual and automation testing. So can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Subhan, and I have 2 years of experience in manual testing. I haven't done much of automation, like I've not done it in depth, but yeah, I know some basics of it.
Okay. And you used to work for Microparts, is this correct?
Yes, my course used to develop WebGL games and mobile games.
Okay. And then the next one was Code District.
Yes, correct.
Sorry if it's a bit noisy in my on my end because there's some noise outside. Just
Yeah,
let me
sure.
know. Yeah.
Okay.
But I noticed that you have an interesting background wherein sorry, it's just okay. Sorry. Um I noticed that you have a master's in computer science and you focused on agile methodologies at a large scale. Can you please
Uh,
give us a little bit of background on that?
yes, actually, I did a research paper on that, and in which we did a qualitative analysis of like 15 to 20 different research papers, where they used different methodologies to tailor the agile methodologies to use them at large scale. Since agile are not considered as you know operatable or as functional, or you can say as effective as the waterfall model in the large scale projects. So what the researchers intended to do was to somehow tailor the methodologies to use them at large scale. Actually, did want to take it to the next level, but for that I had to visit 15 to 20 different say, software houses and see what modules, what methodologies, software development life cycles they are following. But unfortunately, I couldn't do it, so I had to put a stop on that.
Okay. But were you able to learn anything from it and apply it to your current job?
Actually, unfortunately, I couldn't apply anything at my current job since all the places I've worked so far, they do not particularly follow up the systematic procedure like it's laid out in the theory. Actually, they use amalgam of process. Like we are working in Scrum, and our Scrum is actually you can say. Uh, uh, Combination of Scrum and Kanban. So,
That's good. Okay. So can you walk us through your day-to-day task?
so what I do is at the moment I have two projects that are assigned to me for testing, and both are in initial stages. So I have the APIs of one project which is called Parallax. It is a system for different. It is software as services which will provide employee management system for different delivery projects like an you can say Amazon, you know. So we have developed the APIs of it, and what I do is we have a daily Scrum meeting of it around 12 in the afternoon. So we discuss where all the resources come together, and we discuss about what they've been doing yesterday, what they are doing to do today, and is there any blockers from their side. And so far we have only developed the backend side of it, so I have like 4 to 5 APIs of it to test, and those are already tested. Apart from that, I've been working on developing the test cases from the requirement document and from the Figma designs I have. And as goes for the second project, which is Capital Funds Code, it is a loan application which connects the people who wants to give loans and the people who need the actual loans. So that is also in you can say discovery phase. We have meetings with the clients to get to know about their requirements, and currently I've been writing their requirement document on Confluence.
Okay. So your experience is mostly API, but or do you have
No, manual
okay.
mostly.
So functional testing as well?
Yes, functional testing.
Okay. You just described earlier the like your daily Scrum meetings. Can you explain a few of other agile ceremonies?
For example, we have Scrum retrospective, which we do at the end of this Scrum. Like our one sprint is going to end tomorrow for the Parallax, and we are going to have a Scrum retrospective meeting either at the start of the day or at the end of the day to discuss what the goals that we have outlined and the tickets the user stories and epics we wanted to cover. Have we covered it? And if there is anything left, then how much time is required to do all the things, and are these things which are left are going to affect our next sprints. So it goes like this, and currently we are working in a sprint of 2 weeks.
Okay, good. I just want to ask, what other project management tools have you used? So, are you using Jira or Trello?
Right now I'm using Jira, and apart from that I've used ClickUp for a very short time, and mostly I use Trello for management of my own tasks, my daily to-do list.
Okay. In your experience, can you give me a few differences between maybe Jira or Trello and ClickUp?
Okay, so Jira is basically you can automate, a lot of things like the code commits, and then we have automation rules. And then Jira has way more functionalities compared to Trello. In Trello, we cannot use sprints, while in Jira we do have sprints. And in ClickUp, I guess we did had sprints, but it was like almost 2 years since I've used ClickUp. But as for the user friendliness comes, I would prefer ClickUp over Jira. But since we are using,
Okay, that's good. Um, so in Agile Manifesto, we say that we value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Can you explain what this means?
so actually, it is the individual interaction between the clients and the team which are going to develop the product. Like for example, we have product manager and we have development team, and from developers we have a front end team and a back end team, and the QA part. So all the team from the development side comes together, and they have a look on the requirements, and if they have any other conflicts, they see any conflicts in the requirements or anything which is unambiguous or unclear. So they prefer to talk to the client rather than following the procedures and waiting for the meetings. Or they can go to the product manager to, ask them to how if he is able to explain the requirements.
Okay. So how soon do you start testing?
As soon as possible. So right now the procedure we are following is that we have whenever the product comes from the sales team to our side, we assemble a team of developers and a QA and a product manager, and then they have the meetings with the clients. And from the very start, the start of the requirement to the till the end of the last delivery, the developers and the QA and the product manager usually have at least one meeting with the client in a week, once a week.
Okay. So do you have any experience in creating test plans?
No, I haven't created any test plan so far.
Okay, that's okay. Um, do you know what goes into a requirements traceability matrix?
We have requirements, and then we have test cases, and then we have the actual function, or you can say a test scenario, which is we are going to code or the business logic. We have a requirement for the login page, and then we have the actual test scenario, which is login, and then we have the test cases for login.
Okay. So you mentioned a test case, but do you know the difference between a test case and a test scenario?
Okay, a test scenario you can say as a collection of test cases. For example, I say a login is a test scenario, and in this test scenario, we can have different test cases. For example, login with valid credentials, login with invalid credentials, etc.
Okay. So in your resume, you mentioned you do smoke run, regression run. But do you know the difference between a smoke test and regression test?
Actually, reaction testing is done once there is a new feature in the build. For example, we are going to send a release which includes new features. So in regression run, what I do is I check all the positive test scenarios of the previously built functionalities to check whether the new functionality doesn't have any effect on the previous functionalities. Actually, it is in depth, and we check everything like with the positive test cases scenarios, and in the smoke run we just check the major functionality like the login is working, and we can navigate to the new functionality which is being implemented.
Okay. So do you know the difference between verification and validation?
Okay. I always confuse with this one. Actually, verification is that whether what we are building is correct, and validating is that what I think what we are building is according to the requirements of the client.
That's good. Okay. So during testing, you probably have seen defects, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when logging a defect, what details should be included?
Okay, so what I include is the test summary. Oh, sorry, bug report summary, and then the steps to reproduce, and then I attach a screenshot or a video of it. Then after that, I explain the expected result and the actual results, and then I mention the environment, like is it on staging or is it on production, and then I assign it to the relevant, the member who is going to fix the defect.
Okay. Do you indicate the priority or severity of it?
Actually, right now, I in some cases I do have you know uh, what the authority to indicate the priority and severity, but at most of the times either our Q lead does it or our product managers do it.
Okay. But would you be able to explain what priority and severity mean?
Okay, the priority is actually which tasks we are going to do on priority basis, like which are most important things to do, and severity is like if there is a bug and how it affects. Like for example, a user can't even able to log in, so that's a high severity bug. If the user can't log in, he can't perform any other functions.
Okay, good. So let's say, for example, in a banking app, or you are working with loan application right now, correct?
Okay. Yes, right.
Okay. So, for example, you are required to enter a one-time passcode before transferring funds. And then upon typing the wrong OTP, the app still proceeded with the transfer. What do you think was missed during testing, and how will you write a test case for this?
Actually, there will be a negative test case that the uh, the fund transfer shouldn't proceed without checking the correct without checking whether the OTP is correct or not. This could lead to a bug leakage, and this is a high severity bug.
All right. And can you give me the steps on how you will test this?
Okay, so first I will navigate to the application, then I will enter the valid credentials to log in, and then I will navigate to the transfer funds, and then I will select an account, and then I will, depending on the application, it will send me an OTP, and then I will enter the wrong OTP and click on OK button. If there is a button, or if it automatically proceeds, and then I will check the actual result, that whether it is proceeded to the transfer or not.
Okay. So, in testing principles, are you aware of the pesticide paradox?
Yes, actually, once you are testing the same applications over and over again, then you caught up in you can say you caught up in a process where you repeat the same things again and again, and you do not find a way, to look out of the box to find bugs. For example, I was working on a canonizer and I had to test it daily. So I was caught up after a week or two. I was caught up in pesticide paradox, that I was testing the same things over and over again, and I wasn't able to find any new bugs. So what I did was I took few couple of hours off, and then I looked at I tried to look at the things from a different perspective.
That's good. So, are you familiar with equivalence partitioning?
Yes, I do. Actually, equivalence partitioning is like dividing our input fields in equivalent classes. For example, we have a field which takes the age uh, of an adult, and the requirement age is from 18 to 65. So our equivalence class will be 18 to 65, and then from 0 to 17, and then from 65 to onwards, whatever the age it could be.
Good. So, how do you handle issues that are intermittent or, say, harder to replicate?
I usually I try to follow the process, and most of the times when I do testing, I turn on my screen recorder. So whenever I find an issue that I couldn't replicate, so I go back and see the recording.
And do you also do any investigation or debugging?
Yes, from time to time I do check if whether the API, the response from the API is correct, and the actual values we are displaying are correct or incorrect, or we check from the database whether whether the data we are getting is from the correct table or not.
That's good. Are you familiar with the dev tools?
The Google Chrome DevTools.
Yeah.
Yes, I've used them. Like I've used the console and the network calls. Oh, sorry, not the console, the negative calls. Sorry, network calls, and then the DOM manipulation.
Okay, that's good. So, have you encountered an escape defect or, yeah, an issue that made it to prod? And how did you
Yes,
handle it?
actually, there was an issue. There was a email field which was disabled. User can not change his email. So what I did was I went into the DOM, and I removed the displayed attribute. Oh, sorry, disabled attribute. And after that, when I checked that the user was able to actually not only change his email, but the changed email was also being saved in the database.
And this was already happening in production?
Actually, this was on staging.
Oh, okay. And how did you communicate it to the rest of the team?
So what I did was I showed it to the our project manager, and he said, "Yeah, it is a high priority bug, and we should fix it before the release."
Okay, good. And how do you discuss the definition of done with your team?
Once we have actually met the criteria which is laid down by the customer, and it is according to the requirements, and then we have also have for some cases we do have acceptance criteria from the customer, and we cross check it with the acceptance criteria.
Okay. So in your opinion, what makes a good test case?
A test case which is actually well written. It's somebody should be understandable by everyone, and even someone who just entered, someone who just joined the team can actually understand all the summary and all the steps correctly and proceed with the testing.
Good. So how do you know when to stop testing?
When there are no more actually, there are always bugs. So once you caught up or you are exhausted and you couldn't able to find a way and you are repeating the same things over and over again, and either all the issues which we are finding are already reported.
Okay. Are you familiar with accessibility testing?
Whether users from different, sorry, I'm not familiar with that, I'm gonna take a guess. So whether users from different countries can access it, and from different operating systems like Android, iOS, and in Windows, Mac OS, from all the operating systems which are available, user can access it from them, and all the browsers which are available.
Okay. You've created a test summary report before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what should a test summary report include?
So actually, what I included was uh, the total number of bugs which were found, and the total number of bugs which were fixed, and then which bugs were of high severity and high priority are fixed, and if there are any bugs which are left of high priority or severity, and then I give a recommendation at the end, so how we can improve our process, to eliminate the bugs in future.
Okay. And how do you communicate the test results to your stakeholders in a way that they will understand it?
Okay, what I do is I mention the summary of make a table, and on the left hand side I put that as the summary of the bugs, the summary of the bug, and then link it with the Jira tickets.
Okay. And do you explain to them how this benefits them or what steps
Yes,
should be
actually.
taken right after?
Yes, I actually do the if I'm sending this to the client, then I do not mention anything else other than the bugs and their respective tickets. Just so if they are doing acceptance testing, they do not report the same bugs again. So, but in a case if I am sending the summary to my QA lead or project manager, what I do is that I do mention which bugs we need to fix before the release.
Okay, that's good. Actually, that's the end of my questions. Do you
Okay.
have anything to ask?
No, actually,
No? Okay. Um, is it okay if we proceed with a few feedbacks?
yeah, sure. Can I note it down?
Sure. Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So we can start with your resume. Uh,
Okay.
just to explain, this is actually very good resume that it's
Okay.
only one page and you were able to communicate your background, even your master's is like right at the top. And uh, you were able to show the skills and tools, like also with how proficient you are, and also the work experience is very concise and very summarized, which gives us interviewers an idea of what you do. And also the certificates are also good, and you actually have pretty detailed certifications. um, on the interview, I would say you have a very like solid understanding of the processes. And even though I think you only have, let me see, you only started working back in 2021. Is that
Yes,
correct?
correct. It's been
Yeah,
only 3 years.
yeah, which is good. You have a very good understanding of the Agile Manifesto, and also you were able to explain, for example, retrospective, even though you weren't being asked. Um, and yeah, I guess. Also, on your you have a good, very good familiarization with the tools, especially for between Jira and ClickUp. I like that you said you prefer ClickUp because of the user friendliness, and I
Yes.
think this is a good assertion of like your preference in working. And then, uh, yeah, I think it would be best if you uh, explained more between a test case and a test scenario. I think there are more details that you weren't able to like explain, but yeah, that's a minor thing. They also have a very good understanding of when to do the regression testing and when to do the smoke testing. And for the verification versus validation, it's okay. A lot of people get confused as well, but
Okay.
it's very important to uh, not really memorize, but understand, because this question gets asked a lot. Yeah. And then also logging and defect, very good understanding of the process. And then on the testing principles, the pesticide paradox doesn't get asked a lot in my experience, but it's very good that you understand it, because it's sort of you provide a very good um, details on what it is and how to avoid it. And then for the some sort of situational question with the banking app with the OTP, this actually happens in the real world, right? And I think you provided a very good step by step testing it on the say negative path and the positive path. And then yeah, equivalence partitioning also great. You were able to explain and provide an example on how you do it. And then for yeah, for the issues, that's also good that you do an investigation and you understand actually how to use the dev tools. So that's great. And then I think on the when I ask you how do you know when to stop testing, I think there's more explanation that you can give, like um yeah, like how can I explain that? But yeah, like what is the benefit, or yeah, what other um priorities should be discussed, say, in the next sprint or in the next iteration, or what can be prioritized, so something like that. And then accessibility testing, this is part of usability testing and it doesn't get asked a lot. It basically means um, like testing in a way that uh, I don't want to use the word accessible, but the most most of the purpose of it is to accommodate people with disabilities. So yeah, for example, can you navigate your page by using tab? Can you use enter to click on something? And does this do these functionalities work on mobile view? Those kinds of examples. Yeah, it doesn't get asked a lot, but it is important to understand it as well. And it also has its own benefits. Yeah, I think for the test summary and um, communication with your other team members and stakeholders, I think you're really good at explaining things in a also in a non-technical way. So yeah, I'd say it was a very good interview, but uh, and there's very little to review, right? And you also seem to be confident with your answers, so that's great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mm,
So that's it.
yeah, that's it. I
Uh,
can forward. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, is there a way I can get the recording of this?
Oh, sure. I will forward this recording to Ben, and then he will
Okay,
communicate this recording and the feedback to you.
okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for joining, Suban.
Thank you.
Have a
Okay,
great day.
okay. Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good day. Bye.
You too.